All right, we're back. The audio sounds a little odd, mostly because my microphone just broke right before I started recording this, and it is also 8:17 in the morning. I was too angry to record last night, so here we are. Um, Welcome back to .NET Phils. Very frustrating series against the Reds. So basically, today we're just gonna go over that, go over some headlines, um, get into awards. He was a Phil series preview against the Nats, and we will go from there. The biggest thing for me looking at that series really was the lack of approach. It was the lack of it was just bad. It was just a bad series. Like they came out flat, and all off season and even in spring training we heard about how all these guys are ready and they're ready to go and they're ramped up and here we go and this is the season and yada yada yada. And the pitching outside of Connor Brogdon, and we'll get to Connor Brogdon, has been great. The starting pitching outside of Nola, but again, I feel like that was more of an anomaly than it is the status quo with Nola, has been awesome. Wheeler, again, last night was fantastic. It was awesome in his first start. We're going to see Nola tomorrow against the Nationals. Suarez in his first start go-around was fantastic. Then you got into this series. You had Chris Sanchez, who was absolutely fantastic in his start, and Spencer Turnbull was awesome. And then, Wheeler again last night was great. It was just bad luck. And you think with this offense, the way it's built, with Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Bohm, Marsh, Stott, JT, Casty, you think with the pitchers giving up 2-3 runs, it would be enough. But no, it hasn't been. And it is extremely frustrating. And I know in the last episode I said I'm not going to let the beginning of this season, get to me, but it's hard not to when it just feels like they're doing it again. They're going through the motions again and again, and it's going to be a slow April and a slow March, and then, slow April, slow May, and then they're going to pick it up in June. It's like, no, we don't need to do this every single year in order to win. You can figure it out. You can win games in April and in March. You don't have to do this. This is what spring training is for. And it is so infuriating that I feel like it's instilled in these guys on this team for now the third consecutive year that they've come out flat. What are you doing in that clubhouse? Where's the approach? The only guy I feel like that has a two-strike approach is Kyle Schwarber, of all people. By the way, we'll get to Kyle Schwarber. But it's like you go down the lineup, Schwarber has been fine. He's exactly as advertised. Turner has been a little worrisome to open the season. I mean, it worries me just because we saw what happened last year. So, and even in spring training, he didn't look great. So, I'm a little worried there. Harper's going to be fine. We saw him have the 3 home run game, so he's going to be fine. Then you get to JT, who I still believe in. I think that mechanical issue is going to be fine with him. You get to Bohm, who, again, has been fine, especially with runners in scoring position. He's been awesome. Stott is a little slow out the gate, but, again, I'm not worried. And then you get to, Casty, who are we doing this again? Are we getting 2022 Nick Castellanos? Are we getting the second half of 2023 Nick Castellanos? Somebody compared him to Rhys Hoskins, but I said, well, at least with Rhys, he would walk. Even if he isn't swinging the bat well, Rhys would still walk, and Casty does not do that. And it seems like he's chasing everything again, and it's just back to the same old, same old. And then you get to Johan Rojas, who has yet to hit a ball out of the infield. His only hit this year was that infield hit he had last night. So what are we doing there? And then Merrifield has been lost at the plate, and I knew that was going to happen because he was tearing it up in spring training. And, of course, spring training stats only matter when it applies to my narrative. And then we get to, Pache has been bad. Sosa, he only played a game and he's been fine. But same thing with Stubby. It's just been over and over. How many years in a row are we going to do this before they realize that they can start hot. You do have the ability to hit the ground running in to begin the season, and again, they're just not doing it. They're not doing it. They're flat. There's no two striker approach. Bad at bats. They're not working counts. They're not putting pressure on the pitcher. It's just here we go again. It is here we go again with the slow starts, and I'm tired of it, especially because April should be a cakewalk. You know, you have the Nationals who's bad. Then you have the Cardinals who are bad. You have the Pirates who are bad, off to a hot start, but bad. Like, excuse me, when are we just gonna realize that you can come out hot? Like, you don't have to keep doing this over and over and over and over again. It's infuriating, and I don't know what to say about it. It's just bad. It's just bad baseball right now, and it's infuriating, and I get it. It's 6 games into the season, but it doesn't mean I can't get upset over it. So moving on to headlines. After the debacle in Game 1 against the Cincinnati Reds, Connor Brogdon was designated for assignment. Brogdon just never really could get back to that 2022 form that we saw him where Topper, relied on him in big spots. I don't know if it's the yip. I believe it's the yips. And for those who don't know what the yips are, it's basically where you overthink everything. And I think even Brogdon admitted that he does that, where every little thing he's microanalyzing and being like, I'm thinking about my mechanics all the way through instead of worrying about just the pitching. And, I feel for him. It's a human side of the game. It was similar to when we saw Falter. When the Phillies clinched the playoffs last year against the Pirates, we saw Falter standing on the railing of the Pirates dugout while the Phillies were celebrating. That's the human element of the game. It sucks, but at the end of the day, it is a business. And if you're not producing, then I'm sorry, but you don't have a place here. And, I don't know if we'll get picked up by another team. I'm hoping he clears waivers and heads to AAA and figures out how to be Connor Brogdon again. And I've said this ever since he's come up, he is a confidence guy. Like, if his stuff is rocking, he's the best pitcher in the world. But the second there's a rock in the road, it's all, can't get back to that. So I'm hoping for his sake that he lands back on his feet, either with another team or in AAA, because he can be a weapon. That changeup is no joke. It's just location. It even felt like his velocity was down. Like, he was hitting 96, 97 with that changeup. But if your fastball's only hitting 93 and your changeup 89, there's not much of a difference there. And that's why players were able to square it up. It's a shame, but I'm expecting to see him either bounce back with another team or get to AAA with the Phils. So good luck to Connor Brogdon and whatever happens. In place, former Phil, Ricardo Pinto, and we'll get to Pinto in Game 2, was recalled from AAA. There's actually a great story that Gail wrote talking about Pinto's journey from where he was in the minor leagues to Philadelphia. So, excuse me, again, it is 8 in the morning, so I'm a little tired, so pardon me. And I didn't have coffee, which shame on me, but let's get into the game. So the first game, the Phillies lost 6-3 in 10 innings. My player of shame as the aforementioned Connor Brogdon. The game started out great. You had Chris Sanchez making his first start of the year, and he was great. 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. That's very, very good for Christopher Sanchez. That's actually above what I expected for Christopher Sanchez, which is awesome. You then, in the beginning of the game, he led off with a triple, Jonathan India, and I'm like, oh no, Chris Sanchez. No, not the Sanchez. And then I forget who hit the ball, number 2. But hit a fly ball to Marsh. Marsh threw a laser 99 miles an hour, and JT made a great play to reel it in to get India at the plate. You then had small ball. You had Turner, Oh my God, excuse me. Yeah, Turner still base, and then followed by Boehm immediately getting an RBI double, which was awesome. So the Phils are up 2-0. Marsh just continues to mash lefty, righty, doesn't matter which way you're throwing at him. That guy is a dog. And then you get to the sixth inning. That kind of is where the wall went up. Sanchez got into a little bit of trouble. And they brought in Hoffman and Encarnacion Strand and Yammer Candelario, had both had RBIs to tie the game up. And a lot of that's not really Hoffman's fault. A lot of the defense was the infield was in with first and third and nobody out, where you easily could have turned a double play for a run, but instead the ball got through and it allowed them to tie the game. So what are you going to do there? Two guys that, I mean, Hoffman's, I still say, the best reliever in the Phillies bullpen, and I don't even think it's really close. You then had Strom and Marte come in, and Strom outside of opening day, and I said that that it was a mistake leaving him in to face Adam Duvall in that situation. Outside of that, he's been great. Junior Marte has been fantastic in this short opening to the season. I mean, it seems like he wasn't. Last year, it was all gas, no brakes. It was fastball 100, but he doesn't know where it's going. And it seems like this year, he kind of subsidized. That's the word I'm looking for. Kind of subsidized accuracy for velocity, which is huge because that's kind of a similar thing that Alvarado did when he came back up after getting demoted in 22. It seems like he was like, all gas, doesn't know where it's going, but it's 103. So instead, let's throw 98, but we know exactly where it's going, and it kind of seems like they kind of did that same thing to Junior Marte, and it's paying dividends right now. Alvarado threw an inning, and then we get to the bad stuff. We get to the 10th inning, and for some reason, Greg Soto, who threw one pitch, was not available because it would be back-to-back days. I don't care about back-to-back days when your bullpen, you with me? When your bullpen guy threw one pitch. Why is he not available? So instead they went to Connor Brogdon, who has already been pitched into the ground at this point in the first series. It kind of reminds me of what they did with Bilotti last year, where they just threw him to the wolves. But he allows the grand slam to Spencer Steer, who was on my list of Philly killers. He joins the likes of Miguel Rojas, Ryan Braun, Austin Riley, David Wright. I feel like there's more in there, but he joins the likes of them. So congratulations to Spencer Steer. You did it, buddy. You did it. But then he hits the grand slam. Brogdon, just 3 walks, just didn't know where the ball was going. It was 93, 92. Like, it just was bad. Like, I don't know what's going on with him. You bring in Nick Nelson, and the Phillies couldn't muster anything up in the 10th. And it was a frustrating game, especially when your 4-starter, I guess, Chris Sanchez, gives you 5 innings, 2 runs from your 4 spot. You expect that to be enough to win a ball game, and it wasn't, which just boiled my blood, because that's what you expect from your 4 or 5 guys, is just give you a chance to win, and he did that. He shoved 8 strikeouts. That changeup is elite that he has, and you let him down. The offense just went quiet after the first inning. It was nothing. It was crickets. Come on. I don't know. I know they're going to be fine, but it doesn't mean I can't be frustrated with how this has gone so far. So, then we get to game 2. The Phillies won 9-4. My players of the game, obviously Bryce Harper and Ricardo Pinto. My 2 players of the game here. Coming into this game, Harper was 0 for 11. He had like a 2 OPS or something. And then he said, Bryce Shiesty is here. Goes off, hits 3 home runs, and the last one being a grand slam, and it was awesome. And, it was that he just seems balanced in his swing. It feels like it's Bryce getting back on track. And then you get to, so it makes it 1-0. Then Will Benson hits an RBI double in the third to tie it up against Turnbull. It was an unearned run for Spencer Turnbull. And then Harper again in the fourth to make it 2-1. And then I got to give a shout out to Spencer Turnbull. I mean, 5 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs. Like I said, the 1 run he did give up was unearned. No walks, 7 strikeouts. That is very, very good for Spencer Turnbull. I sound very gatekeepy in this episode, but I remember when the Phillies signed Spencer Turnbull. I'm like, I like that move. It's low risk, high reward Spencer Turnbull. He's only a couple years removed of having a very, very good season in Detroit. And he had Tommy John surgery, so you can just throw away the stats he had last year recovering. It seems like they've figured something out with him. I know. Small sample. I said the same thing with Michael Lorenzen last year, so I get it. It just seems like Turnbull looks like a dude who can be in place of Taijuan Walker when they trade him for Mike Trout. And we'll get to that because I have ideas. So I'm just going to get to it now because I know I'm going to forget. I'm just going to write it down because I'm recording the audio on my phone because my mic broke, so I need to get a new mic. So that's fun. That's really fun. I'm just writing down the trade. I forgot to do it because it's perfect. It's the perfect trade to get Mike Trout, and it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome, and it's going to be swell. Who else? It was Mick Abels, obviously, in the trade. I think I said... All right, I got to look at my phone here. This is embarrassing here. This is really embarrassing. But I had the perfect trade for Mike Trout. I have the perfect trade for Mike Trout. But, okay, there we go. Okay. I'm just writing it down. Just bear with me here. I already said that. And then that's going to go there. Getting back to Spencer Turnbull, I mean, you can't ask for anything more out of him than what you got. And like I said, screw it. You know what? I'll throw in, instead of that, I'll throw him in there. And then, okay. All right, I got it up. Sorry about that. That was unprofessional, but screw it. My show, my rules. So then, Spencer Turnbull, 5 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs, 7 strikeouts. You then had the Phillies I thought this was kind of them shifting the page of, okay, now we're going to start taking advantage of mistakes. Like we're gonna jump on these mistakes because you saw Stott reached on a throwing error and make it 3-1. Schwarber had an RBI single in the 7th to make it 4-1, and this is all capitalizing on the mistakes of Elly De La Cruz, who made 3 errors in this game. It's all taking advantage of that, and that's what good ball clubs do. And I felt like they were kind of getting away from that. And it was frustrating because we saw how flat they came out last night. And it was coming back to the good. You had the Harper grand slam for his 3rd home run of the game, and it was awesome. It was, of course he did. The guy loves the big moment. The guy just lives for the big moment. And that's exactly what you got. You then had Jonathan India reaching on a throwing error to make it 8-2. Marsh home run to make it 9-2, and for God's sakes, do not sit him against lefties. Brandon Marsh is not a platoon player. He is an everyday player. He has proven time and time again that he knows how to hit right-handed pitching and left-handed pitching. He has shown it to you so many times, so can we please stop benching him when a lefty's on the mound? Thank you. But you then, honestly, the big story to me in this one, outside of Turnbull, yes, Harper had the 3 home run games, is Ricardo Pinto. Ricardo Pinto, former Phil, pitched on the Phillies years ago, pitched in one of the leagues over this past offseason. The Phillies signed him. I forget which one. I do apologize. But comes up for Connor Brogdon, who was DFA'd. He then, according to Matt Gelb of The Athletic, he arrived in the 4th inning of the game, said hello to Rob Thompson, and then went out in the 6th inning and pitched the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning for a 4-inning save. So Pinto, 4 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts. You couldn't have asked for anything better. Like, it saved the bullpen. The bullpen was a little taxed at that point, especially Gregory Soto from throwing that one pitch. And he was good. I mean, it was the perfect game to have. It was a blowout. You could just drive Pinto into the ground. God forbid you need to use Nick Nelson, but we don't want to use Nick Nelson on back-to-back days. We don't want to do that. That'd be crazy. And then they won. The only win they had. Game 3, they lost 4-1. It was just a bad game all around for the Phillies. Defense was bad. The offensive approach was bad. Just awful at-bats. Nobody was working counts. And the tale as old as time, the Phillies refused to hit with runners in scoring position. You had bases loaded for Marsh and just couldn't come through. And I know I just came to bat for Marsh, but I mean, it's just, come on. Like, we had something, like, let's get the boys rocking, and they just didn't. Whit Merrifield has been really disappointing to start the year. I'm worried he's going to be the new Josh Harrison. I know that was a thing that people were talking about when they signed him. And so far it looks like they're right, unfortunately, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. So there's that. Looking at the pitching, like I said in the opening, Wheeler was fantastic. 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 2 unearned, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts for Zach Wheeler. He was great. His offense just let him down. Coming back to Marte, Marte subsidizing the velocity for accuracy, which is huge. You had Greg Soto, who has been making me look really smart. Struck out the side. You then had Nick Nelson allow an earned run in the 9th. So it was just bad. It was just poor, bad approaches, swinging at everything, just hoping to make contact. Just situational hitting is not there like I want it to be. And it's like, oh, well, it's early in the season. And I get that. I understand it. They could fix it. But it's like, why the hell did you play spring training? That spring training is where you figure this stuff out. Situational hitting, a 2-strike approach. I feel like the only guy on this team who has a 2-strike approach is Kyle Schwarber, for Christ's sake. I feel like Harper's swinging at everything. Casty's Casty. Boom. Same thing. Marsh, good. Stott, fine. And honestly, I'm officially over Johan Rojas. He cannot hit at the major league level. So can we please stop trouting him out there? Can we please, I think the best course of action is to put, and I know I just talked bad about him, is to put Marsh in center and Whit Merrifield in left. That is your best option to win ball games because at least Whit can work an at-bat. At least Whit can put wood on the ball that goes outside of the infield. Johan Rojas just can't do that. He is a bad offensive player, and I'm done coming to bat for him because it's bad. And they're just doing this kid a disservice because he's going to end up hating Philadelphia because everybody's booing him because he's not hitting. The guy's 22 years old, for Christ's sake. Like, just let him be in AAA. Just please let him be in AAA. Just let him figure out how to hit at the AAA level because he went from AA to the majors last year. He didn't even hit in AAA. So just let him figure it out in AAA and then bring him up because we know what he can do with the glove. He is a generational talent at the center field position. But I think for right now, if you're serious about winning ball games, you need to have Brandon Marsh in center and Whit Merrifield in left. You're paying Whit $8 million, so you might as well use him. And I understand that wasn't the plan, but things don't always go to plan. Everybody and their mother knew Johan Rojas was not going to be able to hit at the major league level, which is why we're saying bring him in AAA. Let him figure it out there. Bring him up because he's faced major league pitching. So maybe it's a nice learning curve for him to start in AAA and then work his way up from there. But no, they decided to be stubborn and have Johan Rojas out there and hit 083 over the past 6 games and not even get a ball out of the infield. I will say credit to where credit is due. He is not chasing as much. He is swinging at balls in the zone. He is working good counts, but it's just you can see it. You can just see it. The eye test is telling you he's not ready to hit at the major league level, but they're not going to listen to me. Now, are they? To the Mike Trout trade. I believe I've concocted the perfect trade for Mike Trout to replace Johan Rojas in center field and have Brandon Marsh in left. So, my trade is as followed. The LA Angels receive Mick Abel, Johan Rojas, Carlos De La Cruz, Alex McFarland, and Taijuan Walker in exchange for Mike Trout. I believe that is a good deal. I believe you get your ace of the future in Mick Abel if you're the Angels. You're getting a solid outfielder in Johan Rojas defensively who you can work with. Carlos De La Cruz, huge, giant human. Alex McFarland was ranked in the top prospects, so throw him in there. And then Taijuan Walker strictly to get out of that contract. They're willing to eat some of Trout's money. Maybe throw in a better prospect there, but that is just taking Trout's contract and giving it to the Phillies, and then they take whatever they want. So to reiterate, it is Mick Abel, Johan Rojas, Carlos De La Cruz, Alex McFarland, and Taijuan Walker to the LA Angels in exchange for Mike Trout. I think that is a perfect deal. I think that is the best deal. Get Trout to Philadelphia if it's the last thing I do. Looking at the Josh Harrison Terrorist of the Series award, that of course goes to Connor Brogdon. He was almost that last series too. But like I said, I hope he bounces back and finds his footing somewhere. If it's not in Philadelphia, I hope it's somewhere where he can learn to be that guy again. So good luck to Connor Brogdon and wherever he goes. Now to get to the new series, he was a Phil. In the series, I look back at some of the former Phils that have graced us with their presence, who people forget was a Phil. Now, this guy was always meant to be a Philly. I wanted him on the Phillies when they were very good, to play third base instead of Placido Polanco. But knowing I was a young, naive boy at that time, and I didn't realize what it would take to pry him away from Texas. And I think you know where I'm going with this. It is, of course, Michael Young. Michael Young, of course, known for being a Texas Ranger. His number 10 is retired by the Rangers. He was always meant to be a Phil. He just got here, I feel like, 1 year too late. It was when the Phillies were still trying to scrape together a good team. It's the Revere, Papelbon, like old Ryan Howard, old Jimmy Rollins. You had Michael Young. Just not a great team around them. He played 126 games in 2013 for the Phillies, hit .276 with 8 home runs and a .731 OPS. Exactly what you expect Michael Young to do. Even in his older age, he was able to still get it done with the Phils. He was traded at the deadline to the Dodgers for Rob Rasmussen. However, one thing that, I always loved Michael Young, but one thing I respected him is after he left the Phillies organization, he spoke very, very highly of it. He said he would recommend it to anybody in a heartbeat. Loved playing there, loved the fans. A lot of the players enjoyed having Michael Young around to learn from. And like I said, he was always meant to be a Phil. It was just too little too late for Michael Young's Phillies tenured. So there's that. Now getting to the series preview against the Washington Nationals. The Nationals have not announced their starters yet. However, I can make some inquiries about who they are. So for the Phillies, we have Aaron Nola, Ranger Suarez, Christopher Sanchez. So we have right, left, going into that series. The probables for the Nationals, and I could be dead wrong, but I just kind of... Oh, this is Saul. I kind of pieced it together before I started recording. I believe it's going to be Aaron Nola, Patrick Corbin, Ranger Suarez, Jake Irvin, and then Christopher Sanchez against Mackenzie Gore. I believe that is how it's going to line up. I could be wrong, but go from there. We know what we're getting with the Nationals. They're feisty. They always are. You have, you added Joey Gallo. You have Eddie Rosario on that team. He's another Philly killer. Mixed in with Lane Thomas, mixed in with Kybert Ruiz. God, who else is Victor Robles still on that team? He might be. But you know what you're getting with the Nationals. It's going to be pesky, feisty hitting. The pitching is coming together. I mean, Mackenzie Gore is really good. Josiah Gray is coming into his own, but we're not facing Josiah Gray this time around. You need to take 2 of 3, at least, from this bad Nationals team. You need to set precedent for going into St. Louis and then coming back home. Like, if you lose 2 out of 3 to the Nationals, I'm hitting the panic button of what the hell are we doing? Are we really doing this again? Because I'm already there. Like, here's the button, and I'm already, like, here. Are we really doing this again? So, just win 2 out of 3 against the Nats. But that's going to do it for me. I will be back on because Sunday, I'm thinking of when I can record again. It's either going to be, what I might do, because I'll be at Ashland's this weekend. What I might do is record it on my phone and kind of just upload it, like do a stream maybe. I don't know. If not, I'll just record it Monday night after work. And then I'll upload it that same night. I'll just stay up late, or I'll upload it first thing Tuesday morning to get it to you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening to me complain at 8 in the morning. And I will see you guys in the next one. So, yeah.